The California Teachers Association, CTA, and the Institute for Teaching, IFT, present IFT Expo 2015, a series of presentations by IFT grant recipients.
So my project has two avenues, and both are roads leading up to what we all dearly love and know, Common Core. My project began because I wear two hats. I am a teacher by day, and I teach for University of Phoenix science methods classes at night. And so I knew my syllabus well, and I opened up my new syllabus, and I saw this word, engineering. And I teach elementary methods classes, and at first I thought, did they assign me something different? Engineering, what? And this was about my reaction. Do we not have enough to do without adding engineering? So I did a little research, and sure enough, a tagline of the Next Generation Science Standards is Science and Engineering Standards. So I approached it because I wanted to be competent when I spoke with my students with the eye of inquiry and, okay, I'm going to try it, I'm going to find out. And what I found out excited me so much so that I wanted to come and share it with you, so that when you hear this coming down the rope, you'll think, yes, engineering. You know, Camie told me about this, can't wait. So this is not a what is engineering or even a how, although I would be happy to talk to you about that later, but this is a why engineering and why it is so important. So let's take a road trip to Common Core, career and college readiness, and realize that even with engineering, the standards are the goal. That hasn't been so much in the past. We've had robotics clubs, and we've thrown parachutes and even hit catapults. But these are really fun activities that are not tied really to anything else. With the engineering standards, they are tied directly with the Next Generation Science Standards. In addition, what I want to show you is they're the perfect ground for practice, preparation, and then competency in critical thinking standards, as well as collaboration. So when we think like an engineer, it's really not something extra. It's road paving. It's designed to make our road less bumpy and more interesting. So let's take a look at my students. I teach a 5th and 6th grade combination class. So for science, we were doing plate tectonics and earthquakes, and I was also looking at forces that work in and on the earth for 5th grade. And so the natural thing to do in research was take a look at one of our most destructive earthquakes, which was Haiti. Haiti took place 4 years ago. About that same time, within about a year's frame, we had Cal State Northridge earthquake. Their magnitude is very, very similar, and yet Northridge quake had 25 deaths. Now when the kids researched that, they said, oh. And then when they heard Haiti had 350,000 deaths, their mouths didn't say anything. It was literally silence, and they began to appreciate the problems of somewhere that they'd never visited, never seen, and really never even known existed until that day. And what we ended up doing is determining that one of the problems is in the structural foundations of Haiti. They didn't have any building codes. They didn't have any laws and rules and regulations. So our engineering project was designed to build, plan, create a structure that would withstand a 7.0 earthquake. And so what you see here are my 5th and 6th grade students. To add a little bit more challenge into it, I told them that they needed to find objects. They could bring them from home. They were not allowed to purchase anything. I even opened up my school supply cupboard. So you will see different things, the kids that brought their Legos. I love this one. He brought clay, and it's potter's clay. He thought he was going to have the best one. They spent hours. It was beautiful for about half a day. You know, the next morning it had crumbled. What a good learning opportunity, because they realized some of the structures in Haiti were made of masonry. So almost by mistake, they came upon a real problem as engineers in action. And so the next step was to test and improve. Now I had a benefit in that I was able to have a scientist come in, and we had someone from the last session ask, isn't that hard? Engineers and scientists are everywhere, and they are dying to come help in the elementary classroom. All we have to do is ask. And so I asked, and he brought his earthquake table. Now, I have since had so much activity, we've actually constructed our own earthquake material. But for the initial project, the kids had the benefit of the scientists there as we tested their performance of their structures. We found that most of them had no foundation. Most of them either slipped off, sheared to the right or left, or utterly fell apart. And look at the faces. They're not upset about it. They went back to the drawing board. They planned. They recreated. They did codes. Their codes, they decided that they needed to have a foundation and that they needed to have some kind of a structural surface on the inside. And again, how they decided to do that was entirely up to them. So what I found is that engineering made Common Core more than just something that we dreaded. We thought, not one more thing. It made Common Core real, come to life, exciting. But there's another side to this road, and that is my side as a teacher. And what I had to do this summer is ask, what is my passion? And I had the opportunity to go train with 24 educators who were like minds through the CTA Leadership Cohort. And it's 24 teachers from all over California who pick one project to work on. And when we began, we just brainstormed. But the brainstorm was not negative, griping about Common Core. It was more positive. How could we lead people? And I started out with kinesthetic instruction because I really knew that was important. So I kissed my husband goodbye in Yellowstone and drove. I flew. I didn't drive. I drove to Salt Lake City Airport and flew to Sacramento, where I was introduced to a book, Professional Capital, and that was my summer reading. And that transformed my life in that I realized the first step wasn't going out and saying, okay, people, here we are, and this is what we're going to do. The first step had to come from me. I had to hone my profession. I had to decide what I was going to do to improve. And I had to practice as a classroom leader first. So changing both my mind, my attitude, and my instructional practices to inquiry practice was me putting on my mask so that then I could share and care about other people. The second professional book that I am currently reading is Mindset. And the wonderful thing about Mindset is it basically demonstrates that attitude, effort, and perseverance equal success, as opposed to talent or money. It's a wonderful thing for kids to learn, but it's a wonderful thing for teachers as well. One of my favorite sayings is relevant to Common Core, because we keep thinking, okay, it'll never work. One more thing. Do we not have enough on our back? This is the straw that broke the camel's back. Or we say, I can't do that. I don't know technology. Help. So we're either judging Common Core, we're judging next generation science standards, we're judging ourselves. Instead, if we just change our mindset to one that failure is just the first attempt at learning, then what we can do is we try and persevere and keep trying, which is exactly what I saw my kids doing when they were constructing their buildings. They were excited about their failures. And in fact, when I came back from Christmas break, instead of, oh, we played Nintendo, or they're so sad to be back, I got things like this. This was the kids who had the clay building. This is what we have, Mrs. Walker. It is reinforced. They sit and they use it as a punching bag. I'm telling you, this is almost indestructible, except for probably by fire. But we've tested it through many earthquakes, and it survives. And they were so excited, spent their Christmas break doing this, and then wanted to share it with me. So once we have basically been converted, then our responsibility is to help and convert other people. And so that was my next quest as a CTA Leadership Cohort member. These are just opportunities that I have had this year, and some of them is engineering is elementary. As I was researching, I found that it was the best curriculum program and one of the few that is developed for elementary schools. And my mindset was, I love it, but they're in Boston. But be careful what you wish for, because when I looked, they actually had training opportunities right in Orange County, literally blocks from my house. And I was able to go and be trained to be a trainer and meet with the actual Boston representatives. Mind-changing for me, because I saw from them already having a mindset of wanting to be a leader and a learner. I also had an opportunity through California Science Teachers Association to go to their science and National Science Conference, which was held in Long Beach this year, fortunately. And I was able to take my kids' work, and we were able to share with others the excitement of their wonderful project. And then a really exciting one that just happened this week is the National Center for Urban School Transformation. This is where they come and they look at the schools and they determine who is a gold medalist in the nation, silver and bronze. I don't know what we are, but I do know that my school is in the top 3. Now, why does that matter with engineering? Because when we got the application, everybody looked at it and said, what? And then they realized, oh my goodness, engineering's on there, and I was able to assist in that one portion. But the exciting part I wanted to share for last. This is the whole reason that I'm here. This is why I know engineering works. Because I didn't set out to do a project that was going to extend to the world. I set out to try engineering to see if I liked it, to see if it would connect to Common Core, to see if it would be too much work. What I found was enthusiasm, motivation, but then it extended into something totally different. And this was my students doing. They cared so much about these people in Haiti that they searched them out. And they met this little boy using Skype. And they talked with him. Now, it was through an organization, so it was all authorized. They didn't just Skype up, but it was very easy research. There are several humanitarian organizations that are helping Haiti still. They found that he is the sole support of his family now. And what he does to support is he sells bracelets. And so they said, Mrs. Walker, we're going to buy his bracelets. I said, that is so awesome that you care so much. I love that idea. So I contacted them and said, we want to buy your bracelets. And they said, I'm sorry, that is way not economically feasible. How are we going to get them to you? And it takes him hours. He scrounges up gum wrappers. This is one of his, I mean, they're gorgeous. And he makes the bracelets. So the kid said, oh, Mrs. Walker, can we make bracelets and sell them and send him the money? So we talked about what standing in proxy for somebody was, and that's exactly what they did. Almost $2,000 was raised from our little school of about 300 students because the kids cared enough. They gave up their recesses, they went around to parents, they sent out flyers, and this little boy has the opportunity to feed his family for almost a year. It was life-changing. So it didn't stop there. Then the kid said, Mrs. Walker, we found out that some of the people in Haiti didn't die from the earthquake. They died from cholera because the water was so infected. And guess what our next project is? It's a natural stream, and today my kids are building water filters. So engineering is a process that changes lives. And so I appreciate the opportunity of sharing my journey towards Common Core. It's not just hot air. I'd love to talk to you more about it because engineering really puts your students in the pilot seat and helps them fly to limits that I never would have even imagined. Thank you so much.
Learn more about the Institute for Teaching and its commitment to strength-based teacher-driven change at www.teacherdrivenchange.org and follow us on Twitter at CTA IFT.